Hello and welcome. Looks like we are live. Today I'm going to talk about, of course, improvisation, but I thought I'd continue to discuss a little bit about pentatonics. So let me know in the comments what your thought, or the chat, what your thoughts are on pentatonics, how you use them, and um, any questions that you may have. I may also talk a little bit about things that I covered in the previous month, November. We're just starting out December, and some plans here for the future. So let's talk about pentatonic a little bit. I'm sure a lot of folks have experienced this, but maybe your very first lesson you might have learned the A minor pentatonic, right? And so, but of course that has its modes, right? So that will work great for an A minor or A minor 7, right? But we also have, it also is it's a collection of tones, so we can build modes out of it, right? So you can also use the relative major of it, so it's like a C major, or a C6 would be a really great example. C6 would fit it really quite nicely. All right, good morning, Christopher. Pentatonics, yes, the go-to when you get lost. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's familiar to our ears. It's a part of music that probably goes back a very long ways. And so there's a really interesting talk by, I think, Bobby McFerrin. I think it was a conference or something where he kind of takes the audience through the pentatonic scale, and he's just kind of singing it and hopping across to these different locations on the stage, just kind of left to right, and he's singing a specific note as he does that, and I think he lays out something like 4 of the notes, and then he has them kind of singing back, and then it gets to the 5th note, and he, if I'm recalling this correctly, he doesn't sing it and has the audience sing the note, and it's the 5th note of the pentatonic scale. So it's really in our ears. It really is effective for improvisation. Sometimes it gets a little bit of a bad rap because maybe because it's used so much and so often, and it's so kind of pervasive, I guess you could say. It's in so many genres, but there's really a lot of very sophisticated things you can do with pentatonics as well. But yeah, so when you learn this shape here, let's talk about other chords this could apply to, right? So what are you referencing here as your root note? So C, right? So then you're taking this collection of tones and applying it to that. So then we're going to have 5 modes of this scale. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. But as we're starting out here, let's I like to encourage folks to like and subscribe, chat and comment, and really helps out the channel. I had a little false start this morning because I had hit auto start, which my intention was for it to auto start at the time of the live stream, but it just auto started as soon as I streamed. So anyway, play Teddy Green. Well, I have a video on Ted Green's one of his Christmas arrangements. So check that out. I just did that maybe 1 year ago. So check out my Christmas playlist. I actually put it up on the main channel. Thanks for your comment, your chat. November Rain by I'm not going to necessarily play tunes today, but thanks for joining in. I'm going to mainly keep it on the topic of improvisation and talking about pentatonics here today. So those two pentatonic scales, and those correspond with the relative minor, relative major of 7 note scales. But there are other modes that we can build out of this. So let's say, and how do you do this? So let's say you're playing through here. Pick a unique starting note and know where they start to repeat, right? Because over here we have A, C, D, E, G, and then we get back to the A. Hello, Priyam. Thanks for joining. So far we've covered the A, and that gives us A minor, so that's great for that. We've covered the C, that gives us a C, let's say a C6. So let's talk about D. And one way you can do this is you don't even have to really look it up in the internet or a book or anything. Just play a little bit. Okay. So let's say, what kind of chord would we build out of this? Well, we could build a sort of a sus 7 or 9. So if you had a D9 sus 4, then this pentatonic scale, or this mode of the pentatonic scale, would be really just perfect for that, right? It would fit it very, very well. All right, Christopher says pentatonics are powerful if one knows how to use it, which is what I'm trying to figure out as of yet. Well, perfect. Yeah. Yep. How to use these things. Yeah, exactly. So we have this knowledge, and we need to kind of apply it, learn how to apply it to various circumstances, right? So, or harmonic, situations. Right. So if you have a D sus, right? This pentatonic would work very nicely there. Right. Saw an interesting interview with Fareed Haik on True Fire Live, where he talks about using major pentatonic over all of Cherokee. Yeah, I would think that, and it's been a really long time since I've played Cherokee, but yeah, you could absolutely do that. As I recall, the melody is really kind of follows kind of the pentatonic sort of collections of notes, and yeah, I mean, you would probably need to, I mean, I can look up the tune here, but you could certainly use major pentatonics throughout. You may have to use different ones at different moments. Then the minor pentatonic for the bluesy feel. Yeah, that's a great point. When you play, let's say you're playing on an A major chord here, the minor pentatonic it's just going to have this really good contrast with this chord. And and I say good because it's kind of in a good way. It's like sort of a little bit off from it, right? But that's what gives you kind of those bluesy sort of tones, right? But and so you could create phrases on that, and then if you want to create more tones that kind of fit the chord more closely, then you could use the major pentatonic on that. So that gets into what's known as parallel major, parallel minor versus relative major, relative minor. Let's see. Miles is a master of using pentatonics. Yeah. What genre of music do you listen? I listen to. On my day to day, I end up listening to a lot of different styles because I've a lot of general, kind of guitar students. So everybody's got this their own interests. So I listen to some real popular things. I listen to some kind of obscure, sort of indie-ish kind of things. Yeah, like indie music, independent label type things. And so, but when I set out to listen, myself, I might listen to Snarky Puppy, or I've been listening to a little bit of Julian Lange. Listen to Martin Taylor. It's really great. Might listen to some classic recordings. Love Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter and all those folks. All right. Fusion guys use pentatonics off the root fifth 9 to get color. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. That's a pretty interesting topic as well. So let's say you have a C6. So if you play C major pentatonic, it's gonna fit that, C6 really really well, right? Or kind of fit it like a glove. But sometimes you might want to have a little more tension in your line. So you can actually go in the circle of fifths, kind of going backwards. So you would go, excuse me. Mute my mic for your benefit. Sorry, it's been kind of a rough time of year for the sinuses and everything. And the vocal cords. So that would be like Eric said, the fifth. You could build a pentatonic on that, right? So let's say we had major G, major pentatonic, right? And then the chord being played, the harmony would be C6. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about sweep picking in a minute. So then you end up with the fifth, the sixth, the 7, major 7, the 9, the 3rd, and then they're back to the 5th again. So it's going to have a little bit of contrast to the consonants of the chord. So it's very slight, right? So it has a major 7 in it mainly. right? And then you can keep going around the circle of fifths. So like Eric said, the 9, the 9, you could go major. Let's say major. Let's do a major pentatonic again. So what do you get there? You get the 9, 3, sharp 11, and this 6, and the major 7. Right. So yeah, you'll hear this in some Matheny's playing, and in many like you said, Eric, many of the folks out there. So try going through the circle of fifths just like I did. So and you can just kind of go in and see how it kind of fits with it. All right, well, let me do just a touch of noodling here. Let's remind folks to like and subscribe. Oh yeah, before I do that, I mentioned I would talk a little bit about sweep picking. So sweep picking is really cool because you can go in one direction, in opposite direction. So what you do is just one. It's kind of simple, really. It's you just go in one direction with the pick. So one way I would apply this is to take an arpeggio like I just did, which is just an A minor triad, and then see if you can go in one direction with the pick. Now, one thing I'm doing to get some separation is I'm kind of rolling through the notes. So I'm just kind of taking my finger and doing it kind of slowly. You'll kind of see what I'm doing with my first finger, but I'm just kind of rolling it along so that it kind of, they feel more separated in that way. Okay, so and then you can go in the opposite direction. So sometimes that can be really effective, right? To go ahead and do sweep picking as far as technique goes. I would recommend being able to do sweep picking and alternate picking both, and be able to mix those through, because sometimes it's gonna make a little more sense to kind of just go in one direction. So take a chord that and kind of go over it with a pick in one direction, and it sounds pretty cool. So let's see. Okay, so I was gonna do a little bit of noodling, and I'm gonna get back a little bit to the pentatonic scale and make sure I'm not missing any comments or questions. So there, just kind of thinking a little bit out loud here about pentatonics as I'm playing through that. So we can really use pentatonics to help us make some chord changes happen as well. And if you learn just a few more pentatonic type scales, then you can really do that pretty effectively. So let's say I'm doing Stella by Starlight. Okay, so if I have E minor 7 flat 5, I could play, let's see, I could play this, which would be a 5-note scale, okay? But so you might think, okay, E minor pentatonic, but I'm flatting the 5th, right? So take a pentatonic scale that you know and see if you can alter it in a way that makes it fit the chord that you're playing, right? Right. So there we have E minor 7 flat 5, right? And we just took an E minor pentatonic, lowered the 5th. So you just want to kind of be aware of that around, the neck, be a thing. And so let's say you get into A7. Then you can take almost the same type of scale there. What if we had a dominant pentatonic with a flat 9? Hopefully this is not getting too far from the pentatonic scales that you may be familiar with. But on Wednesday, I talked a little bit about dominant pentatonic. So how about we spend a little time on that? So we have A7. The dominant pentatonic is a lot like major pentatonic that we talked about earlier. So if I had A major pentatonic here, and I took this note and played a G instead of that F sharp, so then I would have a dominant pentatonic. Now, the natural 9 doesn't always fit every dominant 7th, as you may already know. So in this case, what I did on the on this tune in this particular moment is I lowered the 9. So you take a pentatonic scale again, like I said, with the E minor 7 flat 5, lower the 5, and then here we can lower the 9. So that's a really great place to play, your 2 5s in minor, right? So let's say you're playing blue bossa, something like that. You get to the D minor 7 flat 5 and the G7. Let's keep it simple. G7. We'll do the flat 13 for now. So then you can play D minor pentatonic, but play the flatted 5, right? And then we get to the G7, and then play the dominant pentatonic with the flat 9. So if you're not already really secure with the dominant pentatonic, work on that first, and then move into flatting the 9, raising the 9 actually. So that's kind of a cool sound. And that kind of gives you that mixture of minor and major. So all right, everybody. All right. Well, let's see. So yeah, Chris asked, can you use tritones in pentatonics? Yeah, let's talk about that. There are a couple of contexts that we can do that in. So if you have, let's go to G. Let's think about G7. And let's think about the dominant pentatonic. So a couple perspectives on dominant pentatonic. You can take a G arpeggio, a G7 arpeggio. Okay. And just put a root note over, not a root note, the 9, a whole step above the root note. So, right. So you're just taking G7. You're putting the 9 in there as well, or the A. Okay. So there is a tritone in that pentatonic scale. Okay. And what's so really kind of cool about that, and there's just a couple logical steps that are just a little bit maybe possibly confusing. Vendiota, yeah, let me, I'll get to your question in just a moment. So if we have this tritone here, it's a symmetrical interval, right? So you go, you're really at the halfway point. If you're dividing an octave, right? You're really halfway in between, and since it's symmetrical, you could take the root note G and take a tritone above it, right? And then you have D flat 7, okay? And then you can say, oh, okay, I'm gonna substitute that for G7, and then you can build a dominant pentatonic around D flat. So right. So what does that sound like? Let's say on blue bossa in this kind of moment where we go from the 2 5 to the 1. So G7, and we probably want a flat 9. But anyway, I'll just kind of give you this example. G7 would sound like that. Okay, and then the D flat would kind of sound like that. I probably would be more helpful to have backing tracks and stuff, which I do plan to do here in the near future. Okay. So yeah, pentatonics apply to the tritones, tritone substitutions and things like that. Good request for Sweet Child of Mine. I'm going to try to keep this mainly on improvisation and guitar tips and stuff. Any tips for new guitarists to fast learn to play guitar? Well, yep, numbers 115 mentions practice. Yeah, absolutely. Practice, um, you know, guidance and practice, patience, um, good information. We're at kind of a place in our technology where we've got a ton of information. I think things a little bit are weighted a little bit too much in that direction, because you really have to sift through information and invest a good amount of time to get really good information. But if you find good information, then that's great, and you find your resources. So that's really, really good. But I do think it's really important for people to watch you play and critique your playing. So that's where working with a private teacher is really going to be important. And if you're a new guitarist, I would say it's especially important to take lessons right from the very beginning. If nothing else, for technique, because you develop bad habits and technique, they're so much harder to reverse once you've internalized them. So you practice a lot doing things wrongly or awkwardly or things like that, then it's just harder to change it up down the line. So take advantage of all of the current music. Don't worry so much about trends and do this and don't do that and secrets to this and that, and it's really it's all about building a strong foundation in on your instrument and in understanding some music theory, some basic music theory or training, and kind of have to get down and do the work. That's kind of the thing. Let's see who else. Okay, all right. Thank you for your comment. Thanks for explaining the tritone concept. Yeah, I've explained the tritone concept quite a lot in over the years, and it's kind of a tough one. It is. But one thing that's kind of cool, if I go a little bit deeper, if you guys don't mind, if you have a G7 chord, yep, you're most welcome, Fendiot. So here we have a root, a flat 7, and a major third, right? Now, if I take this root note, I'm going to keep these two notes on the middle two strings the same. I'm going to take that root note and put a D flat, which is a tritone, away, but keep the other two tones the same. Now we have, from this perspective, we have a root, a third, a flat 7. So it's swapped around, right? So pretty interesting phenomenon in music, right? And this, this tends to want to go either to this, they want to push outward, right? So G7 will want to go to C, but D flat 7 will also want to go to C, but it has a sort of different feel about it. So another thing is that this can tend to want to go to this. So we can have the D flat, going to G flat, right? Or we could have G7 going to the G flat, right? So really interesting sort of phenomenon, I would say, of the music and how that all works. All right. Let's see. Let me catch up on the comments. Okay. Chris Hansen. I'm not. I know the name. Okay. So, yeah, that this is a good comment here. I like all the comments. Appreciate. Do like a baby and imitate the sounds you hear. Yeah, I like that. Try to erase everything that you know, all the biases and all these things, and turn on a recording and imitate just by sound. I think there's a lot of value in that. Absolutely. Strings. One more question. Is it okay to use Ernie Ball slinky guitar strings? Sure. See. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I agree. CM Bells is right on target there. Yeah. Yeah, play by ear. I mean, that's where this art form happens, right? It's in the ear, it's in the air. It's a incredible phenomenon. We talk about we have all these names and all this uh, music theory and things that sit on our instruments, and we're fortunate to have an instrument that kind of sits in this space. If you're a vocalist, your instrument is in your body, and it's in a sense you wouldn't say, you can't like go to this one location and say, I mean, this note is here and this note is here. I don't know how vocal training really works, but anyway, so if you can kind of get to that intuitive level of a singer, I think that's a good aspiration to get to on your guitar. But knowing where things are and knowing some names of some things and working some theory together, with the ear, it's a very strong thing that can happen for us. All right, well, I'm going to take a few more minutes on here and then call it a day. Remind folks to like and subscribe. Check out the I've got some merchandise, got some mugs and stuff. I've got a book. You want to support the channel, enjoy this live stream. All right, also available for lessons. All levels welcome, and I have a website member area that I have in the works, which I plan to launch in mid-January. I've got some development that we got to do, but I'm very excited to bring that, and I'm kind of brainstorming some ideas for that as well. And let me know if you have any experience with some member sites. What have you enjoyed from those experiences, and what would you like to see more of? I'm going to keep it, mainly on improvisation, although that will include comping and that kind of thing. Chris, okay, great to hear that. I was hoping you would be interested. Um, and see, Aaron says, I love acoustic guitar. My goal is to be able to play fingerstyle guitar so that I can play the bass, rhythm, and lead and drums at the same time. Any tips? I would say the premier contemporary guy on that is Martin Taylor. I mean, he has really gotten that thing to a level of refinement that is just really astounding. He's got a lot of books. He's got workshops. I think he's running one now somewhere in New England. So I don't know if that's still open for registration or what, but I would do a search on Martin Taylor. You know, that would be kind of like the guy to even just listen to him, because he's got the melody, the bass, he's got the chords, all that. So excellent musician. And I've been following him on Facebook. He seems like a really awesome guy too on a personal level. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for all of your comments. I hope I didn't disappoint anyone who had specific tunes they wanted me to play, but I'm really trying to keep this on the improvisational sort of thing, and so I hope you got value from our talk on pentatonics, just kind of scratching the surface there. You're welcome, Aaron. All right, everybody. Well, have a great day, great practice session. I will see you all in the next one.